good morning everyone, and before I get to the rest of the video, I want to really talk to you about what exactly is happening inside. What is making all these bubbles happen? I've kind of mentioned it before, but now we're going to take a deep dive into it. So it all starts with the seed, and then we grind the seed into the flour. And what's inside the seed are made up of these three components. We have the bran, the endosperm, and the germ. And within the endosperm is a lot of carbohydrates. And most everyone is familiar with this term, but this is a hierarchy category, a title that has a lot of other categories underneath it. And if we break that word down a whole bunch, we have these two things, amylose and amylopectin, that are both contained within the endosperm. So, what are these? Well, they're basically long chains of sugar molecules put together. Then they look kind of like this, and every one of these circles is one tiny microscopic piece of sugar. Amylose is one long straight chain. Amylopectin is a branched chain. So one long straight chain and a branch chain, but essentially they kind of do the same thing. They're a form of storage, and this is how the plants store their energy. We get energy from sugar. So we have two main things going on here. We have a yeast, and then we also have bacteria. And if you're not following along with everything, that's okay. Most people in college don't have any idea what any of this means. All right, so yeast falls under the category of fungi, which was written on the other page, and then we have the lactobacillus, which is a type of bacteria. So we have fungi and we have bacteria. And those sound kind of like scary words, and why would we want to eat those, and why would we want those in our flours? Well, I'm about to explain, and how they're not all bad. And these actually in our flour and our sourdough culture, what we're making, are actually really good. So here we go. Yeast, this little yeast guy over here, he eats the sugar, and then he makes ethanol, and then also carbon dioxide, this gas, which makes all the little bubbles inside of our sourdough culture, our sourdough starter. All right, and he also produces amylase, and I'll get to that in just a second. Then we have the bacteria lactobacillus. All right, this is a lactic acid producing bacteria. So when it eats sugar, it produces acid, lactic acid, which then lowers the pH, which means it becomes more acidic. All right, and I'll get to that and why that's super important in just a little bit. All right, so the yeast eats the sugar, and then it produces ethanol and carbon dioxide. But then it also can create more amylase, as I said earlier. So what is amylase? I like to call it here muscles, right? It's an enzyme. What is an enzyme? Well, enzyme is something that can make something else happen, is what we call a catalyst. It makes the process happen. It's like I told you, we have these long chains of sugars, and the yeast and the bacteria can't just go up to this chain and start nibbling anywhere. It has to be taken apart into individual sugars. As you see, they're all holding just one, not the whole chain. So what muscles does is he comes in and he can separate these chains and put them into individual sugars. As you see here, muscles taking them apart and toss them to the side. So the bacteria and the fungi, the yeast and lactobacillus, can come around and eat. And the more they eat, the more they're able to make copies of themselves and reproduce, along with making gas to give us these bubbles, alcohol, which alcohol, as some of you know, if any of you've ever gotten a cut, you've had to rub rubbing alcohol on it. So alcohol is a way of killing some things, right? Killing maybe other bad bacteria. But if it kills other things, how do we still have this here? Well, interesting enough, you should ask, this specific type of bacteria can live in an alcoholic situation. All right, so with all this ethanol in there, lactobacillus can still survive, although some other bacteria cannot. And lactobacillus, as I said earlier, makes acid, which a lot of things can't survive in acid. So this acid kills other bad bacteria, but yeast, this type of fungi, yeast, can survive in a low pH. And so together they make this wonderful, wonderful world that creates so much flavor and such a complex. It's like living in this big city, and together they work together to keep themselves safe by destroying the other bad bacteria and creating an environment where they can eat as much as they want as long as I keep putting more flour in, which is why every day I have to feed it. And this is what makes our bread rise, and makes it rise safely and keeps it safe for us to eat. Because yes, if you leave anything out on the counter, it can mold and get gross. But because we have these two bacteria fighting for us and keeping the bread safe, it makes it safe for us to eat. So that's our mini lesson for today. It's a little bit longer than the other ones. I just wanted so much information to share. So thank you. Welcome to day 4. Look at this. Look how much it's grown, right? Look at that. That's huge. Look at the growth rate. This is where the bottom of it was yesterday. And now look at that. It's doubled in size roughly. 1,150. So that's exciting. So today I have to take out 150 grams. So I'm going to drop it all the way back down to 1,000. All right. So you have to smell it. And it's kind of milky-like in scent today, which is pretty neat. I can't wait to make bread out of this, but still have more to go. I need more flavor to develop. Look how sticky this is. This is crazy. I have to take out 150 grams. Look at that. Look how different that looks from yesterday's. Now we mix. I know today was a lot and a lot of it was complex, but keep going. We have a few more days left until we can start making bread, and it's gonna be so delicious. I can't wait.